I've declared war on the Destiny subreddit because I don't like the way it is run. It's turned into a hate subreddit against me at time. Not. It's not. That's not. Obviously, that's like 2% of what it is. But I feel that it's become very hostile towards me, and criticism of Steven is not allowed at times. Sometimes it is. Sometimes it isn't. Even people, if they're rude when arguing in my favor, even in situations that don't even involve Steven, they've been banned for that. You maintain that you can ban people for any reason, whatever reason you want. If you're mad, blah blah, blah. And then you'll like do this thing where if somebody calls a ban out for being bullshit, you're like, well, fuck you. Like it's funny. It's funny that I banned you. Giga Chad, go fuck yourself. Which, as funny as that may be, it has a chilling effect on genuine criticism and speech in the sub, which is bad for me specifically because I need, in order for like normal people to understand me, I need special, smart, empathetic people who get what I'm saying and who like me to kind of help them understand. And so like Steven sometimes plays this role. He's played this role in like a massive meta level over or macro level overall. But I need people in the audience who like get me to look to their neighbor and say like no, he's not saying that. And like you'll see that a lot and like with the Fuentes thing, there are a lot of people who are like, he's not saying never to talk to Fuentes. He's not saying to deplatform him. He's not anti-free speech. He's saying don't sanitize him by having chicken and waffles with him. And then people are like, oh, okay, I get it now. I just needed it explained to me like 25 times instead of 24 times.
So why don't you
When you start,
just say like, don't have chicken and waffles with him? It sanitizes him instead of needing a translator.
do you think I didn't say that?
I don't know. I haven't watched it. But if you need a
Uh,
translator, that sounds like a skill issue.
well, if I say I think that having chicken and waffles sanitizes Nick Fuentes, and I think this is dangerous, and then Steven says, well, you sound like every other lefty in the world telling me to screech Nazi at him, which is one of his responses. In that response, well, while that may be true that he thinks that, he is reframing what I am saying. And so the audience who is primed to agree with him and accept his definition of what's happening is going to come away thinking, yeah, MrGirl did want him to screech Nazi at him. He did want him to call him a Nazi. Even wannabe sad boy, who, and as good faith as he is, was like, yeah, I get what you're saying. You want him to call him a Nazi. I never said that. I never said you should call Nick Fuentes a Nazi. But if you ask 99% of people in the sub what I said about it, I think most of them, or I think 100%, I think 99% will say that I did say that. But I didn't. I just didn't say that. And so if you're going to have a nuanced thing you're trying to explain to people who are half listening, who are huge fans of the person you're arguing with, who are perhaps some of them not the brightest crayons in the box, as my audience too. This is just how people are. You're going to need sometimes a discussion forum where people can explain what's happening.
Sure, I'll take your word for it.
Simultaneously, well, do
So
you
what are you
disagree with
looking
this?
for from this subreddit? So like, what are you looking for?
I outlined my demands.
Yeah, not everyone read it, so just set the scene.
Oh, what are my demands? One is I believe that you should either be fired or given different marching orders. But I think the way you interact with the community and moderation as it stands is authoritarian and anti-speech, anti-criticism, and anti-intellectual almost. And then the second thing is I think there should be a constitution where the rules of the sub should not just apply to the members, but also to the administration and the mods.
Okay.
A First Amendment, if you will.
Okay. So I'll talk about moderation for a minute. The chilling effect is actually a goal. So usually bans are public. They're the Giga Chad moments, as you called them, where my goal is to set a tone for, hey, This is the sort of conduct that isn't acceptable. Of the 3 bans I've gone over that you sent me, I stand 100% by one of them. One of them actually went back and that wasn't Nino, that was me. And I can't even
Okay.
explain what that was. That probably was a bad ban. That guy probably deserved to be unbanned if he hasn't been already. And then
Okay, which ban are you talking about? The one that you think is a bad ban? Because if we agree on that, then maybe we have a jumping off point.
yeah, like I have bad bans. They happen. That's why the unban
Okay,
form exists.
can you
Like I'm not
describe
gonna.
the ban?
Yeah, sure. Hold on. Let me pull up a link real quick.
Okay.
Where's the Here it is. This one that I'm reading right now. This one was actually me. I'm not sure if it was for this comment, but I'm down to unban this guy.
Okay, so the comment was, is it me or has there been a massive uptick in MrGirl hate recently? I'm going to need to see the context for this clip because I thought the professor looked like a condescending jackass, and I'm genuinely surprised to see so many people against MrGirl. And then edit, I got banned for this comment. So when you say it's a bad ban, do you agree with my general perception of like, oh, you just banned this person because they like me?
Yeah, I'd say that.
Okay. Okay. Continue.
Yeah, so there are some people that I give a lot of leeway to in the subreddit. So like someone will post something really stupid, but because they've been
Yeah.
around for like 5 years, it's not a problem. Your
Based.
fans are exceptionally fucking annoying. An example was a thread earlier about dog warts, because in the Harry Potter subreddit there was a thread of dog warts, people posting their pets, and it was a bunch of fucking MrGirl simps going in there and saying, "How much? Dollar amount? Question mark?" And a whole bunch of cringe shit, which makes the subreddit look bad because by extension, as a part of your community, it's going to end up pointing back to our community. And my first
Okay.
priority
So
is making sure the subreddit stays up. So I clap down on that shit.
okay. So to be clear, there are DGGers who are also fans of mine.
Yeah,
We're talking about shared fans,
yeah,
right? Okay. Who are posting in the Harry Potter subreddit about fucking dogs.
yeah. That's just one example, but that was pretty recent.
Okay. Then so you ban those people.
Yeah. But that's just not like a rare incident. MrGirl fans are exceptionally obnoxious, and I'm pretty sure Destiny talked about this in the past as well.
Sometimes,
Notorious dog fuckers.
I
Okay.
wouldn't say that. They like to talk about dog fucking.
Sure. Well,
That's why I have so little leeway with your fans. It's not because I am super invested in taking you down personally. I don't want your stuff enough to care.
wait a second. Well, you just showed us an example on stream, or read it out loud just now, an example of you banning somebody for saying it seems like I'm getting a lot of hate, and it seems like it's unfair to hate me because of my conversation with that professor. So you are banning people just for being my fan at this point.
Yeah, occasionally. It's a rare thing. It happens. You know how it is.
I don't.
So,
I've never banned anyone. The only person I've ever had anything to do with banning in my community was Lav, where I was like, I think Lav is
based.
sexualizing minors in a subtle way. And so I don't think she's going to technically break any rules, but I think she's jeopardizing the sub. And I don't think it, like, I just don't like what she's doing. I think it's bad. So I asked the mod team, can we vote whether we should ban her? I made my case. They voted and they banned her. I've never just banned somebody. That's the only
Oh, you
person
should
I've
do
ever
that more.
even.
I don't know why
Uh,
like it should be a democratic process. I don't see the appeal to that.
well, it's not. It's
Based.
democratic. It's not. It's not. It's not like I asked the community to vote whether to ban somebody. I asked my mods to vote.
Okay.
The reason it's not in my hands is because I don't want to create an echo chamber or fortress, as you like to say, where my emotions about things people say to me, which are often negative, because I like any creator, when my fans criticize me or don't understand what I'm saying, or they turn on me, especially because I make very provocative content, as Steven does too, where sometimes your whole community just like revolts against you. If my emotions were tied to my decisions about who gets to stay, that I will eventually cull all pushback out of my own audience and
That's
end
why
up
you
with
have
an
a
echo
third
chamber.
party do unbans.
I think a better solution is to just remove myself from the process entirely. Well, why would you can't possibly think that it's better to ban people out of fury and then unban people, because even then you're filtering out people who don't want to be treated like that.
The
Like,
reason
if I
why,
was
just
ban-
as a quick insertion, the reason why I like to do that is I'm
Yeah.
really quick with the ban is because there are two types of people that criticize me. One type are people that are just literal fucking anti-jerker dick riders who will criticize every fucking thing I do. And the other thing is sometimes there's fans or even people that don't like you, but they offer like legitimate or valuable criticism. So I ban quickly, but I unban quickly because I figure if you are like invested in me and my community and you just have something where you're like, you're a dumb fuck here, blah, 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 and you want to say some shit or whatever, you'll reach out for an unban. And it'll be really quick to unban you. And the people that are more likely to never reach out for an unban are people I didn't care about anyway. Now, I'm going to catch some people that I'd want to keep in the crossfire, but like that's just my approach. Just letting you guys know that, but okay, go ahead.
Well, I think this filters out non-sycophants.
It will to some extent, but I'm okay with that. Because I get rid of the anti-jerkers, who I think are the death to a lot of communities. Anti-jerkers are like some of the worst people you can have around. I dealt a lot with these, and I was way too gentle on them in my early career, and I let like huge anti-jerking communities grow and like were fostered under my like wing, and it was just really bad for my community and everything. But I'm not telling anybody else they have to do things. Like I might be wrong, who knows? But I will say I have one of the largest streamer communities on Reddit on the entire fucking planet.
I'm not.
But yeah, but go ahead.
Wait a second. My argument is not that it doesn't help you like make money or be a successful streamer or grow your audience. Obviously, it's practical for those reasons. I'm saying it's wrong.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's just because it makes me money. I'm saying in terms of builds a better community.
Like, it builds a bigger community.
Well, yeah, but I would say bigger community can oftentimes be a reflection of the fact that it's a better community. I guess not necessarily,
It could be.
but I know there are a lot of streamer subreddits that are like, so like if you look at Sneeko's subreddit, for instance, or like Dave Rubin's subreddit, like these are subreddits that were totally unmoderated and they were created basically just to anti-jerk. And like if you go to those subreddits, it's just basically full of like hatred for those creators.
I don't think it should be totally unmoderated.
Sure. Well, yeah, okay, so I don't want to like interject too much, but I was just giving my thought process on, yeah.
Okay, so I just think banning people and then unbanning people who come crawling back, over time will, in doing so publicly, changes the character or the spine of the average DGGer. It
Yeah,
weakens
that's the
it.
idea.
Okay, well, yeah. So, I really value the viewers I value the most are the people who say, I don't agree with what you say. But I still find it really thought-provoking. I hate a lot of your content. I hate the way you talk to your girlfriend. I hate the shit you say about trans people. I think you say the dumbest, fucking, stupidest shit ever, but I still find value in what you do and watching you. Those people, if I ever got mad and even banned one person on stream in front of those people, I think they would all leave.
So what's your current issue with the criticism on the subreddit? Or is it just too hateful? Or what's the deal?
For me to be understood and for my content to make sense to people requires a pretty delicate balance of like thoughtfulness and an atmosphere of a willingness to tolerate bad feelings and criticism. And when you shut that down, you make the place increasingly hostile and hellish for me. Like, I feel like the emotional IQ of DGG is dropping every time there's like a mass culling like that. I think the community, yeah, like when Steven did like the purge after the Nick Fuentes argument.
Based.
I'm not sure how many of those I kept track of, but I'm not even sure if I was there watching for the Waffle arc, but I don't know. It seems like there's plenty of MrGirl fans on the sub. They seem pretty unmolested. I think in the past...
This has nothing to do with what I'm saying. You just made the case that a good way to do moderation in a subreddit to keep a community like intellectually healthy is for the creator to mass ban people when he freaks out, and then the mods will unban people. But then when I refer to the purge, you don't even know what I'm talking about.
So to be clear,
So-
let me provide some, because you're saying that it's like I've just mass banned people when I freak out. Typically what I do is, and this is prone to happen the most when there's like incredibly charged events, it's usually when people are making like unhinged fucking comments. There are plenty of criticisms. It actually happened yesterday. Or not yesterday, the day before. Every time I do a vegan debate, a ton of vegan people come out and start posting unhinged shit on my subreddit. And yesterday I checked this out, I was like, oh boy, time for a mass fucking purge, because I was gonna have to ban a whole bunch of people. But when I looked through the subreddit, there was a lot of people criticizing me, but there were only like 2 or 3, like literally, I think there were only 2 or 3 like super unhinged comments. People saying things like, I think Destiny's like arguments are really circular. I don't like when he does this or blah, blah, blah. Like, I don't think he engages well with veganism. Oh, those are fine. But when people are like, Destiny's just a fucking hypocritical asshole and he doesn't ever fucking recognize how much of an absurd dipshit. It's like, okay, fuck you. It's not good feedback. Not only is it not good feedback, it's toxic to the community. It's a waste of my time to read, and it's like emotionally exhausting. Like, fuck, why would I do that? So I don't just like go on banning speeds and just ban everybody, blah blah blah. I probably do some bans that are unfair, but generally, and it's been the case over and over again where people bring it up on stream and they go through it on subreddit. Somebody will be like, why did I get unbanned? And I think I just saw this happen in a thread like yesterday. So I was like, why did I get unbanned? And then if you go through his comments, like prior to that, the guy's like, oh yeah, Destiny's just like a hypocritical asshole, but he'll never fucking admit it. And it's like, oh, I don't need this commentary on my subreddit.
that.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, yeah. So like, I'm generally, yeah, fuck. But if I do fuck up, I mean, it's easy to get unbanned if you email. But yeah, that's just the general. I don't just like ban everybody that's criticizing me because I'm emotional or whatever. Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. We read a post that you did remove during the Fuentes thing that was not that unhinged.
Well, when you say not that unhinged, do you remember? It's really unfair for me to push you on this, but I'm just curious. I'm not trying to push you, but do you have a link to it, or do you remember? Can we look at it again? Or can you remind me what was in it, and I can tell you why I banned them or whatever?
Oh, this was my ban.
Oh, fuck.
Is this what you're referring to?
No.
Oh, a different one. Okay.
I think I can just scroll back to, or can I just search it in our conversation?
Probably.
And separately, Steven and I operate pretty independently. He doesn't necessarily give me marching orders unless something big comes up. It's like
Typically, the only time I'll tell Forethought to do something is I'll be like, listen, I want to ban all, like, no more lav posts or no more of this or whatever shit. Like, if shit, yeah, no more keffels, like, ban all that shit, yeah. But generally, he does his own thing. I do my own thing. Sometimes I stumble into areas and I see that he banned somebody. We stumble into our own graveyards.
Okay, I think.
I will say, though, some of the Forethought unbans, or some of the Forethought bans can be pretty unhinged sometimes. But listen, he does his shit and I'll unban people if I think it's bullshit.
Listen, it's about
Okay.
making sure they're afraid.
Okay, sure.
All right, I just sent it to you. Did you get it?
Oh my god, just reading the title of this, I can already see. Hold on, but I didn't actually open it again. Hold on 1 second. God damn, Steven has contradicted himself so many times in his debate with Max and Chud. This is painful. It's almost gaslighting. This is exactly what Max is talking about. Max is 100% correct in his assessment here. Literally every statement said by Max is correct while Steven is being so weaselly. He literally did the Britney argument. Fucking, okay, I'm glad I banned this guy. I hope he's still banned. This was a stupid fucking argument. Yeah, go ahead.
What's the justification for that? No, okay, do you concede that if this post said, "God damn, MrGirl has contradicted himself so many times in his debate with Steven and Chud. This is painful." Steven is 100% correct with his assessment here. Literally every statement said by Steven is correct, while MrGirl is being so weaselly. That person wouldn't get banned.
So back when you said this before, I would have agreed with you. But I actually spoke to my community after this, and I think I explicitly said this. I said that from now on, I want you guys to try to treat other people like you treat
I know
me.
you said it, but I'm
Yeah.
asking if you, good faith, do you really believe that you'd get banned for saying the opposite post? About
Yeah,
me?
I try to look for people that are doing this now. So like I've done it a lot with because Lav gets a lot of hate on my sub. I think I did it with a couple of the posts about you, but I don't go through my subreddit all the time, especially because we were through a boring arc recently, so I wasn't reading as much. But yeah, if people are making super unhinged comments about other people, I try to like cut down on that if I see it.
Is saying that everything you said is 100% true in an argument with me unhinged?
Calling me Weasley and saying that I'm gaslighting is unhinged. Yeah.
Is calling me Weasley and saying that I'm gaslighting unhinged?
Depends on if you're a Weasley or gaslighting.
I usually just ban people.
So who decides that? When you're
I do.
like,
It's
just
the
out of
Destiny
curiosity.
subreddit.
It's
Okay.
authoritarian.
So what do you think happens more often? That I'm gaslighting and Weasley, or that you are?
I think you gaslight like crazy, but
Okay, great. So
Sure.
can you then, now that we've gone through this little side thing, can you concede now that the same post about me, if you agreed with it, would not get banned? The verbiage in the post is not the problem. It's that you just don't agree with it.
well, yeah, that's gonna. Yeah, that's going to impact. Like, let's say that our
You say
conversation
unhinged.
Well, yeah. Let's say that
mean
our
it.
conversation ended right now, and somebody made a post and they were like, Max was unhinged and Weasley in bad faith in the last conversation that he had with Destiny. Like, that would be a person that could be potentially banned because you weren't at all. There's no reason for that.
Because you don't agree with them.
Yeah, because that's not even remotely what happened. But let's say that we go on a little bit
I understand,
further.
but
yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
But I just want to point out that at the end of the day, it's really about whether you agree with the criticism or not.
Well, no, it's about whether or not I feel like the criticism like maps onto reality or not. Which I guess you can say that's a longer way of saying if I agree or not. You could argue that.
Yeah.
But yeah, sure. To some
So if
extent,
you
that's going to
super
be
disagree,
true.
if somebody criticizes you and you super disagree with it, that's a ban.
The problem is that like when you say those words, you make it sound like my goal is to ban any criticism, even if it has merit. When that's not true. I'm looking to ban
No, you decide
criticism.
if it has merit.
No. We're not talking about whether or not it has merit. We're talking about if the description is true or false. If somebody
If the
said
criticism
that
is true.
Yes. If somebody said that like, oh, Destiny was unhinged, right? It's not my worry isn't whether or not that was meritless or with merit. It was whether or not I was actually unhinged. There have been debates where I've been like unhinged.
But ultimately, the power to decide whether you are unhinged rests with you.
Well, ultimately, yeah, of course. Somebody has to make the decision, yeah.
And yeah, but does that somebody have to be you? Like, no, you
I mean,
want
it
it to
doesn't
be.
have to
but,
be. Yeah, I do want
well,
it to
but
be.
this is
Yeah,
why
of
we have the
course.
separation of powers in government. So, like,
Well, I'm not
so,
a
'cause you
government.
don't-
This isn't the Destiny Republic. This is the Destiny autocracy, right?
Well, okay. So if you're willing to bite that bullet, then surely you understand my criticisms of the community.
That I
'Cause under
don't
the
run the bands
autocracy-
like democratically.
It's not that you don't run them democratically. It's that you run it like an autocracy.
Well,
It is subject to your whims, your feelings.
Sure,
That
let's say-
disagreeing with your read of a conversation shortly after the conversation is a bannable offense.
let's say that
I
I
don't see how
ran
this
it
does it.
democratically, and let's say that a majority of my community really didn't like you, and they were like, "We're going to ban all Mr. Girl content." Would
No,
you be
I don't
okay
think
with
you
that?
should run it.
Okay.
No, I don't think you should. That's not what I'm suggesting.
Okay. What are you suggesting?
I'm suggesting that you create a document that limits your own ability to ban people from your community, which could be updated as necessary, and then adhere to that. And so, if the document says you get banned for disagreeing with Steven too much, if you disagree with Steven a lot, if he thinks you're super wrong after a conversation, he's going to ban you. You're not allowed to disagree with Steven. If you're willing to put that in writing and put it under the sidebar in your subreddit, then fucking have at it.
Well, but why would I?
don't think
What is my prerogative for doing that? Now I'm just gonna have an even harder time banning people if I want to ban them. Why would I want to do that?
yeah, for the health of the community.
Okay. I mean, but I think my community is really healthy.
I know,
So
but I don't. Wait, you're asking why would you? You obviously don't want to do it. You want to rule with an iron fist and define who was unhinged and who was not, and who was crazy and who was right and who was wrong. And anybody who disagrees with you, if you feel like it, gets banned. And then you can say, oh well, it's not real ban. You can get unbanned. But through this filtration process, the circle of bans and unbans, you get rid of people who are willing to stand up to you, which you say is a good thing. And forethought
well, no.
is here also
I
saying that's a
don't
good
get
thing.
rid of all people that stand up to me. There's a lot of people that are critical of me that are on the subreddit.
That's not what I'm saying. I didn't say there are none left.
Well, but
I
you're
said
saying you
that this
get rid of
process-
people that stand up to me. I mean, like
Not all of them. You don't get rid of all of them. You just get but you can see the kind of person who's like, well, what the fuck? This motherfucker banned me for disagreeing with him.
Yeah,
Like,
but
fuck him. I don't
there are
wanna- I don't-
people
why
that
would
will
I want
call
to be in
me.
a community like that?
Sure, that's fine. But if I think that there are people that I don't want in my community. If your criticisms
I
are
know.
like this guy's an unhinged, gaslighting, Weasley fuck, I don't care about your feedback. I don't want you in my community. Like I'm okay with that.
I also don't
Yeah,
really
I know.
moderate around like how people view discussions. I usually aim for like the super personal, unhinged shit. So like a guy called you a pedophile in a thread earlier, that guy gets banned. I don't really.
But I
care.
am a pedophile.
Good one.
Oh my fucking. Good one, dude.
I know.
Good one.
I know you're watching this.
Okay, continue.
So yeah, that's usually what I aim for. I don't really keep up with every single conversation. I'm the YouTube Andy now, so
Loser.
my goal is to make sure that people become more moderate and try to have a more level discussion in the subreddit. My goal isn't to have like super unhinged people posting psycho shit every single day for upvotes.
Okay, but the two bans we're talking about. I mean, you're saying you don't stand by one of the bans.
Yeah, like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm the perfect fairest moderator.
What do you think
I'll
about
fucking
what do you
never
think
say
about
that.
Steven's? What do you think about the ban Steven's talking about? Do you think this is a good ban?
Based 100%.
Okay, so what makes this 100% a good ban?
Keep us link. There's usually a stereotype these people fall into. Usually starts with calling someone bad faith.
True. Why does
Uh,
this guy the bad faith? And then it's like, what does bad faith mean? Well, I disagree with this argument. Sorry, that's neither here nor there.
Okay.
But go ahead.
So there's a stereotype people fall into. Not super impressed so far with your style of evaluating whether you should ban somebody, but continue. I'm gonna, as you speak, I'm gonna imagine you're a police officer talking about a black person. But go ahead.
So
What if
these
I'm
are the
a black police
people. The people that say bad faith are the ones with their pants hanging down around their knees. They got
They're
a lot of
mad
jewelry
for it.
on. They're speaking a lot of
You
AAVE.
can
Okay,
just tell.
I already
You can
when I
just
see
tell.
him, I'm like, this guy's up to no. Doesn't look like he belongs here. You know, in the DGG housing development or whatever the fuck we would be. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fuck this guy. Oh,
Apparently
man.
that guy's unbanned
So,
too. Unreal. Ninu's way too lenient with those.
Ninu has to be
Yeah,
lenient,
Ninu
all right?
needs. She's
She's a silent guardian, all right?
of something
she-
of autism. Of that, she's guarding the
All right,
wrong
so-
things. Okay.
One thing
Okay,
that's
so can
really
you-
fucking
Oh,
annoying
sorry. What's that?
in this post is when people try to project some sort of inner mind state on people that are having a conversation and then never really talk about what they're actually saying.
Oh yeah, that's a thing that I'll ban for that. Somebody will make an entire post. Fuck, what? There's one topic that this happens over. Oh, it's over dating advice. That's probably one of the things I've banned the most for. So somebody will come on and they'll make a post. Did you guys see the recent stream where Destiny and Erudite were talking? All of the advice they gave was bad because Erudite is married and has only been in one relationship and Destiny's a streamer. I don't know why anybody listens to anything they say or take anybody seriously. Like, I've banned so many people that make posts like this because, like, what are you saying? What is your critique? Like, in all of the like dating advice critique things, like less than 5% of people actually offer a critique, and they're just there to like criticize like my life and say that that's why everything I say is wrong, even though they never put anything is wrong. It's like one of the most annoying fucking things for me to say. But yeah, that like where people just like this debate was bad because, and then they just talk about mind states. It's like, why are you even posting here? Like, go do something else. Yeah.
Yeah, it's super annoying, unsubstantive.
But sorry, go ahead.
Okay, so forethought, can you walk us through why you would 100% stand by this ban?
Yeah, sure. So, in the span of 10 minutes, he says things like, Nick isn't a Nazi. If you separate the view he has, he wouldn't be called a Nazi. Within the context of him saying Nick explicitly isn't a Nazi shit for a few years isn't a Nazi. This has been going on all debate. It's almost gaslighting. Like, this it's almost gaslighting shit is just unhinged. You can't
Can you
just
explain?
like...
Can you explain why
also-
that's unhinged?
I don't know who introduced, like, Steven, I need to talk to you. You
We can't say
fucked
the
up
name.
by introducing people to terms like gaslighting and bad faith.
I know.
You fucked up.
Answer him.
Okay, so they rather than just say like, hey, this is wrong for XYZ reason, they're saying, hey, it's gaslighting. It's abuse. This is exactly what Max is talking about. Being all
Yeah, so
blurry
during-
with what you say during Nick's beliefs, without saying like, "Hey, this is what's blurry." You're just
You
stating.
don't,
it as-
wait. Can you just specifically walk? Okay, are you saying that you're not allowed to say if you think Steven is gaslighting, you think he is intentionally obfuscating something and avoiding talking about something, being sneaky, slippery, weaselly, whatever? If you actually think that, are you allowed to say that in this subreddit or not?
If you have like proof, absolutely. If you want to pull,
Wait,
quotes,
no,
you
not if you have
think
proof. If you just is this a bannable offense to accuse Steven of being bad faith or gaslighting?
probably
It's going to depend on the combo. So there was a
Wait. I want forethought to answer because he said probably
no, no.
100%.
Oh, okay.
Because you're saving him.
Oh, okay. Well, I would give because I'm one of the moderators of my sub too. But go ahead, he can answer, and then I'll
yeah,
give my
sure.
answer.
So, if you want
Is
to
accusing Steven of being bad faith, just at all, is accusing Steven of being bad
all?
faith
No.
or gaslighting
You
in
can get away
itself,
with it.
is that you can get away with it? Does that mean it's bannable, but you might not get banned, or what?
it means it depends on what you post. Like if you say Steven is gaslighting, here's what he did. He said this, he contradicted this, he lied about this, he claimed this earlier and then stated that later. He's gaslighting.
Okay, so if you say Steven is gaslighting and you don't give an explanation, you get banned.
Yeah, so
if you
when
do give an explanation, you might not get banned.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to read the post to you, and then you tell me why this isn't an explanation. Is that okay? Can
Yeah,
we
go for it.
proceed that way? Okay. In the debate just now, when Chud and Max debated him on the sanitization of Nick, it seems Steven is just trying to defend himself without being able to be critical of himself at all. This is most prevalent with how contradictory he
you
is
stop
in
real
this
quick?
debate. What?
Can you stop real quick?
Yeah.
So like accusing someone of being like, he just wants to defend himself. He's not engaging critically. Like ascribing that kind of mind state rather than just talking about what's actually being said is sort of what gets you in trouble.
Okay, so it is bannable to ascribe a mind state to somebody.
It's a red
or to
flag.
Steven.
Not totally bannable, but that's a red flag. We're starting off on a rough.
Okay, so you're already close to being banned if somebody says it seems like Steven is defensive.
No,
Yeah.
hold on. Whoa. Notice how I just said that's a red flag, and you changed it from red flag to almost bannable. And then notice how you changed it from Steven is gaslighting to Steven is being over defensive. You just warped both ends of that.
Okay,
Hardcore. Let me restate what was actually said.
Here's the sentence.
No.
Here's the sentence. Wait, let me read the sentence so we agree on what happened.
Okay.
Can I do that? Also, you're rescuing forethought again.
Oh, my bad.
It seems like Steven is just trying to defend himself without being able to be critical of himself at all.
Yeah, see, that sentence is fucked.
Yes. Okay.
Do you see how that's
is it?
fucked?
But is the sentence bannable or it's a red? Like, what percentage of the
It's
way
w-
to banning the person does this get you?
It's a 13.3%, repeating, of course, chance of getting
Okay.
banned.
Okay, so you could be banned just for saying it seems like Steven is trying to defend himself without being able to be critical of himself at all.
No, it's just 13.3%. It's a red flag.
It's-
It gets you
It's
there.
it gets you part of the way there.
Why do you think that's a fucked up thing to say, or an annoying thing we wouldn't want in the sub, or I wouldn't want?
You want me to try to guess why you say that?
Yeah.
If I try to ascribe a mindset to you that you don't have, are you going to ban me from the sub? You're asking me to do this. I have your consent to guess at your mindset right now.
You have my full consent.
I believe that a lot of these, there's two parts to a debate on a stream. It ain't like a boxing match. It's more like a close boxing match. There's not usually a clear winner or loser. Sometimes there are. Sometimes there's nothing you can do. But often the interpretation, the after talk, the upvoted posts and downvoted posts really decide how history is written after a debate. So in a highly tense debate with a lot of stakes, that is not really clear who the winner or loser was, it really benefits Steven to write the history of what happened. And so when you're arguing about the very definition of reality and you have your finger on the ban button, when somebody says, well, I think what happened is you were defensive and not self-critical, it obviously helps you, rule with your autocratic iron grip if you stop the person from saying that. You're saying it's really annoying, and yeah, it is annoying. It's very annoying to have somebody tell you you're not making good arguments, you're just flailing and defending yourself. Obviously that's annoying, but you get a benefit other than just relieving your annoyed feelings. You get a huge benefit in shoring up your support in your audience by doing that.
Okay, Stephen, rescue me if you want, or translate.
What? Well, MrGirl, fuck, I have heard that. It sounds like he's just saying that there's a huge benefit to being in control of the narrative of the comment section after any big conversation, and by aggressively banning people that appear to have disagreements of opinion with me, I'm essentially, in a way, proactively, retrospectively rewriting history, essentially.
Do you feel like that's
I'm not
what
saying.
you do?
Well, I'm not saying you're thinking that. I know that.
I'm not saying
thinking
I didn't
don't
say you're
want
saying I'm thinking it, but that's
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
saying that's what's happening. Yeah.
I know you know this. I just want to make it clear forethought. I'm not saying that you're thinking I want to rewrite history. I know you're thinking this person is toxic, this person's annoying, it's another MrGirl dog fucking idiot. I don't want to deal with this person. They're annoying. I get.
Oh no, I'll
the
ban people for
motive.
being annoying, independent of that sentence. That sentence is entirely separate. That sentence is. It is not just annoying. It is counterproductive, because one, the answer to it, it's not like Steven can say, hey, I wasn't defensive, I was critical the whole time. But how do you prove that? Who cares? Why the fuck are you even wasting your time having this conversation? Just have a conversation what you want to talk about, and just
Well, the thing they want to talk about is they think he's being defensive.
yeah, that's fucking retarded.
So we just shouldn't talk. I mean, is it okay? For the record, is it retarded because Steven is never defensive?
It's retarded because it's unprovable. If Steven's defensive, I can make an argument like, hey, Steven's being defensive here, but at the end of the day, it
Not
is
in a
really hard to
subreddit.
just prove someone is in a certain mind state, and that's why they're making
Yeah.
arguments. And we're in a
Okay, so
debate.
you're not allowed to speculate about the mind state of Steven in a subreddit. Are you? I mean, you
Of
may
most
get
people,
banned.
generally those are like waste of time conversations. All right, that's why you usually don't accuse people of being like grifters or whatever, because it's like I can't prove that. Like, what the fuck is the point?
Okay. I guess I don't, based on the posts I've seen about myself, and there are dozens of them, or maybe even hundreds, I'm going to say speculating against MrGirl's mind state is not against the rules of our destiny. Even if it is stated that it is, you can do that pretty freely whenever you want, about whatever you want, and nothing happens to you, which is fine. That's how I think it should be. I think you should totally be able to say, Mr. Girl's gaslighting, you call me Mr. Gaslight, get the top voted post in the sub. You should be able to do all those things. That's not my problem. I don't want this protection. My problem is that I think these clearly, if annoyance and bad feelings are fueling the ban decisions, and you, by your own admission, Forethought, want to ban people just for liking me or saying nice things about me, it seems pretty obvious that critical comments of Steven are going to be banned or bannable way more than critical comments of anybody else if your immediate emotional response is playing any part in the decision. And then, like I said, through this cycle of, well, you can always get unbanned, then you start to cull out people who don't want to deal with being banned and pushed away and pulled back and, you know, having to submit to humiliating, like, well, explain yourself, appeal to the mods, and the mods will, you know, I just don't think it's good for me in the community. It may be good for Steven, but it's definitely bad for me, obviously.
Okay, well, you have your own subreddit. Pull all your dog fuckers. Hang out there.
Sure, if that's your response to my criticism of your moderating system is go fuck yourself, that's fine.
Okay,
I
so
accept
we're good.
that. Well, no, I have conditions for this. Is an unending war. This is World War III or IV now, and it will go on forever. So we're not good. But I accept your response.
No, I wasn't like asking if we were like friends. I'm asking like, is there anything else we need to discuss here?
Um, I just don't think bootlicking should be a regular part of being part of a healthy community.
I'll keep that in mind.
All right. Well, is there anything else you want to discuss?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
Steven, anything else?
What? No, it's up to you guys.
All right. The offer for Apex remains open. I'm going to bed
Okay,
later.
you, me, and Autistic Destiny, we're gonna be grinding that. Okay.
Soon.
All right. And then there were two.
I don't know where to.
What's up? How's it going?
I feel like our relationship is a little tense.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Do you feel like that too?
No, not at all. Well, I feel like you feel it, which I guess in a relationship is enough for it to feel that way, because only one person needs to feel
Yeah.
tense. But
That's right. I feel like there's a few topics we haven't really talked about.
okay, hit me up.
Well, do you feel upset or angry at me about anything?
No.
Okay, the topics I feel like we haven't really talked about are, one, my declaration of war on the subreddit. Oh, we kind of talked about it now, but is there anything you want to say about it? Anything else?
I don't fully understand the ramifications yet, so no, I think I'm okay.
I don't think there are any.
Okay. then it's probably
I'm just mad, and I'm gonna complain about it a lot, and
that's fair.
I think that's it.
It's a healthy response to madness.
Yeah. And I think like I said, I don't think I'll if I post or I respond to posts, I think I'm gonna be a little more guarded, because it doesn't feel like a safe space for me.
It's not. Reddit's never a safe space. It's not even a safe space for me, even though I ban all the non-bootlickers. There's still enemies lurking in the shadows.
I feel like it is systemically not a safe space for me, I guess what I'm saying.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay, other topics? My ban.
From
YouTube.
Oh, yeah, that's pretty fucked up.
I feel like you're mad at me about it.
Mad at you about it?
Kind of.
Oh, why do you feel that?
Because I think it makes you feel horrible. I think you wish I would just be a little more like you. Or not even like you. Like, because you're kind of like me too in some ways. I think you just wish I would be more
Safe.
protective. Safe, yeah.
No, not entirely. It would make your life easier, but I very much tend to play like the... Maybe you're probably not going to believe me, but I'm very much like the neutral observer, where I kind of like watch people do what they do, and then I'll kind of like comment on it, and I'm like, yeah, you know, if they did this, it'd probably be easier. But ultimately, it's your prerogative to do what you want and act the way you want.
I think feeling like I'm hurting myself hurts you.
Okay.
How did you say that?
I mean, I don't agree, but I don't know if I can convince you out of that, so.
You see this shit?
Oh, cute. Nice. I don't know my
Nice.
Save Shaylin shirt on. I don't have my Save Shaylin shirt on, but okay.
That's a very hard phrase to say.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, so that's what I think.
Okay. Well, what do you want to talk about in relation to that? I would feel similarly about like, or I do feel similarly about like Sneeko. Like, I think he needs to moderate a little bit, and he would be immensely successful. He just needs to pick his battles better. But it's not like a thing that like personally upsets me. It's just like, oh fuck, they'd probably be doing a lot better. Or it'd be easier for them if they were doing okay.
Well, you're kind of involved in my ban.
Sure. But I don't know if that
Which I
meaningfully
think makes-
changes it for me.
It doesn't make it more upsetting.
Not in a, like, I wish you would behave differently kind of way. No, I don't think so.
I'm worried that you feel guilty.
No, it's pretty hard for me to feel guilty over something.
I know.
That's one of the things that sociopaths excel in, is never feeling guilty, so.
I think it's the same as always feeling guilty.
No, it's very, very, very rare that I feel guilty over online stuff. The limited exception probably has to do with Melina, because she catches a lot of flack without putting herself in the line of fire at all. Whereas for like me or Sneeko or you, like to some extent, when we jump into these arenas, we're kind of like, this is the battle that we're in, and this is like, we've accepted the rules of engagement, even if they're not fair and they suck, and like, this is how we go about things. When people peripheral to me get caught up, that makes me feel guilty or upset. So like when Lily or Melina or Bella a long time ago, like that's irritating. But for us, I think we're like internet warriors, and it is what it is. Even if it sucks sometimes, which it does, super sucks sometimes.
I'm a very sensitive warrior.
Sure. But a warrior nonetheless.
A warrior nonetheless. Somebody said that you said I need to chill the fuck out with regard to the Lex Fridman thing.
Oh, yeah.
Should we not talk about that?
You don't want to, or
You don't? Do you not want to?
we can talk about whatever you want to talk about.
I want to talk about it.
Okay, yeah, then we can talk about it.
How do you? What do you think about that? How do you feel? What's going on?
I think that sometimes the way that you handle rejection will reflect on you on upcoming things. So by getting rejected in a really poor manner, it can hurt your future opportunities in really negative ways. A really, really, really great example of this is long time ago, I was a very, very edgy StarCraft 2 player, and I had the opportunity to cast a tournament, and then I was disallowed because there was a website, or there was a company called Gigabyte. They make PC parts, and they said they didn't want me at that event. And I wrote an article on my website titled "Fuck Gigabyte in the Ass." And my guess is that article probably kept other companies from working with me in the future. Be my guess. It's a long time ago, but
You think I'm making decisions that my future self will regret?
I don't know if you'll ever regret them. You might be the type of person that, could be living in the bottom of a hole saying, like, at least I lived my values. And at the end of the day, we all kind of have to pick and choose our fights. This is why I don't feel guilty, or this is why it is what it is. Because for every criticism that I'm giving you now, some people would argue like, well, Destiny, people have criticized you the exact same way for your engagement with Keffals. What's the difference? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure. I mean, like it's kind of up to us to choose, like, what do we think are the important fights to fight? And for me, I have a
chill.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you're telling me to chill the fuck out, it sounds like you disagree with my assessment about
which fights are important. Yes.
Yeah.
Same thing, but then also it's the same thing with Sneeko too. Like Sneeko would probably say, no, there's a lot of bots. I'm trying to deprogram people. Every fight I take is an essential fight. I can't, like, for you to tell me to censor myself around some topics, those are the most important topics for me to not censor myself about. That might be what is going on in Sneeko's brain, even if he can't verbalize it. And I would disagree, but I mean, it's his choice to make, you know? And then again, people would turn...
Sneeko.
Sure, I do too. I super like Sneeko. He's a very interesting person, yeah.
Yeah.
Even if I disagree with a lot of what he says. But I'd say the same thing about you. And Brittany. And Lav even.
Well, I don't think my ban's your fault.
Well, that's good. I didn't really either. I mean, I definitely played a part in it, but it's not my fault. I don't even know if I'd truly say it's your fault. I think it's just kind of the shitty social media environment we live in today, and the fact that it's so easily exploitable by bad faith actors like the big tech guy.
Yeah, I don't even think it's the people who's flagged me's fault, really. I think it's YouTube's fault. But I don't think it's your fault.
Okay, well. What?
Just thinking of Shaylin making a shirt that's me at the bottom of a hole saying, I live my values. At least I live my values.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a common argument I give to like bikers and stuff, to where I feel like I saw a comic or something, but like there's like a biker, like a guy with like an actual just bicycle, like standing outside the gates of heaven, and the caption is like, "But I had the right of way," and it's like, okay.
Yeah. I think that's it for things that I feel like are
That's really it? That was it?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
for things I've sent. Bulging, like Yellowstone, the volcano, the super volcano underneath Yellowstone, the lake, it's bulging.
Uh-huh.
These are the areas where I feel the magma bulging. So I want to talk about it with you.
Oh, okay. Damn, I thought there was like a lot of
But
shit or something.
it could have been. I mean, I don't fucking know what you're gonna say in response to all this.
Oh. Well, okay.
I mean, it seems like the thing we have the most overt disagreement about is the subreddit thing,
Oh, sure.
obviously. But I don't know what else there is to say about it.
True.
Oh, I went on NoJumper.
Oh, yeah. How'd that go? Did you fly down to LA for that?
No. No. We just did a
Zoom thing?
call. Yeah.
You feel like it went okay?
No, it was a fucking disaster.
Like a good kind of disaster or like a bad kind of disaster?
It wasn't a disaster with Adam. It was a disaster with Flacco.
What was the disaster?
He called me some names.
Like a pedophile or like a different...
Yeah. Yeah, he called me a pedophile, and I just lost my shit. I haven't. Normally I have like a kind of like, well, I totally understand. I talk about provocative topics, and I totally get. Since the ban, I've not been as patient with people,
Mm-hmm.
and I pretty much lost my shit. And he was like, "Oh, you're losing your shit. Look at you." I was like, "I know, I know." And it just went on like that for a really, really long time. I was so angry.
Why do you feel like you got more angry this time? Or you said you've been more angry since your ban. Why?
Because usually I'm saying in the context of like, I have a career, I have my YouTube channel, I'm growing as a creator. So I totally understand as new people are introduced to my work, they're going to be provoked. They're going to call me names. They're going to not understand. I totally get it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. I understand. But with the ban, it's like, it just feels like, it feels like the world's against me.
Sure.
It is. Google is the world. Google's like controls how so many of us interact with the world. When Google's like, you're a shitty person who shouldn't be able to talk, it feels like God hates me, and I'm so angry. I'm so angry, and I'm so angry about the ban, and so I'm just taking out on anybody who's like, it's just shut the fuck up. I just stay the fuck out of my way.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, yeah, this guy really tapped into it, and I just lost my shit.
Damn. Were you like screaming at him or?
Yeah.
Oh.
I would say I was yelling. I don't know if I got screaming, and he was like, "You're shaking," and I was like, "Yeah, I know. I'm fucking enraged at you."
Okay.
He's like, "Why are you shaking, bro?" And I was like, "Cause I'm fucking mad. I just told you why I'm shaking. Like, are you trying to get me to say like pretend I'm not mad? I am mad. I'm not gonna pretend I'm not mad."
Was it better or worse than the Stardust combo? In terms of upsetting for you.
Stardust was way more upsetting. Oh yeah, that's another thing. I feel like we didn't talk about Stardust conversation. Is there any stuff you want to say about? You got something to fucking say, motherfucker?
I mean, obviously, I totally disagree with your assessment of everything, but I mean, like,
Can you enlighten me about exactly what that means?
well, I think it's the same criticisms that I generally have of you. That I feel like you insert a mind state into another person way too much, and I feel like you're sometimes just way too harsh on people.
Okay, bring it. Can you bring it to specifics?
Can I bring it to specifics? When you say to somebody that they're testing somebody, I think you should understand that that has an incredibly negative connotation. And oftentimes, the use or the invocation of the word test is a strategy to rape someone. So when you invoke that to somebody that is explicitly saying this is a strategy they're employing to avoid getting raped, it is like maybe the worst possible thing you could say. And so I can understand somebody getting really triggered by it.
I understand that too. I mean, I think I said that to her.
Yeah, but you always
I
say
was
it
like
in
it-
kind of like a detached. It would kind of be like me walking up to somebody and then smacking them and being like, "Look at me. I understand why it hurts. I understand why you're hurting right now, okay? But you need to understand something." Right? And it's like that's what you're
Okay.
doing. And it's like, Jesus.
Okay. So the problem isn't that we agree that I already understand this and said it,
Okay.
right? Like I know that I was using the word test to explain how it feels from the perspective of the testee.
Uh-huh.
Like I feel like I'm being tested or profiled or not trusted or interrogated, whatever.
Sure.
I said to her, I know you feel like you need to do this to protect yourself. So from your point of view, it's just a boundary and like a defense mechanism or whatever, but just a normal thing for you to do to protect yourself. From the perspective of the person who's being asked to not have sex for 4 months or whatever the fuck, it starts to feel like I have to prove that I'm not a rapist, which is the longer you know somebody, the more that hurts.
Sure. But
Okay.
is that is that appropriate to bring up?
Well, I'm just trying to figure out your feedback here because you said my assessment is wrong, but it sounds like we have the same assessment so far.
Well, the issue that I have is the appropriateness of even explaining that.
Okay.
And especially when the person is that emotionally charged over the topic. Because what we're essentially saying is that, like, I understand that you're having an extreme emotional reaction to this because you're trying to protect yourself. But I think it's more important right now that you recognize how your way of protecting yourself could hurt my feelings. It's like, it seems like it's asking for an unreasonable amount of emotional consideration. It reminds me of fights where I'll get into a fight with a significant other and they're upsetting me and they're upset. And now they've brought their upsetness to me and they're making me upset. And now they're telling me that I need to take care of their feelings and my feelings. And I'm like, wait a second. You got us both riled up over this. Now I have to take care of both of us? Fuck you. That's kind of what it feels like in that conversation you were essentially doing to her.
We agree that she never said she was upset,
I don't care.
right? No, I'm not trying to make it.
I don't know if she ever did say she was upset or not, but like whether or not somebody says they're upset, I'm never
I'm
looking
not,
to somebody.
look, can I walk you through what I'm thinking here?
Okay, go for it.
Okay, we agree she never said she was upset, right? Probably.
She might have. I think so, but I don't know. But go
I
ahead.
asked her if she was upset, and she said no.
Okay.
Do you believe me?
Fuck. Yeah, go. I'll believe you. Go for it.
Okay. So you're saying she seemed upset.
Yeah.
You're saying she asked me, do you want to do a stream talking about consent? I say yes. You're saying if we start doing the stream and I tell a story, I tell the STD test story, and Stardust compares the girl in the story to herself and says, well, I think that's how it happened. I think she was like, well, maybe it was the other way around, but she was like, I tell men they have to wait to have sex with me or whatever. You're saying if she's talking about her experience with this sexual negotiation and I'm talking about mine, but I start to detect that talking about this is triggering for her, then I shouldn't explain my point of view anymore because it comes off as rapey.
No, I don't even care about rapey. It's more just like they're probably the one that's more adversely impacted by the interaction because the risk or the investment for them is very high and your investment is very low. So why push the interaction?
The conversation.
Yeah, why push it at all? Like for you, it's a matter of being kind of irritated that you're not getting laid, or maybe that somebody doesn't trust you as much as you think they should. And for them, it's a matter of like, this is a thing I do because if I don't, I feel like I might get raped. Like the investment is very high, the risk is very high on one end, and on the other end, it's kind of like,
Okay.
So like, why
And
push
you're
the
saying
direction? Yeah.
you're saying this translates to a psychological risk for even talking about it.
Well, no, but like the particular.
Because I wasn't trying to fuck Stardust. I'm just trying to talk to her about how we experience sexual negotiations. But you're saying if the way I'm talking about it is triggering to her, even if she won't say it, I should pull back from even having an intellectual conversation about it because it's too insensitive.
Yeah, if I think over that particular topic, yeah, I would.
Like,
Or if
it'd
I
be like,
wouldn't, I would continue forward knowing that like this might turn into a huge shit show.
okay, so like if you're talking about experiencing racism,
Mm-hmm.
and a black person is like, yeah, the cops like beat me and arrested me and then like lied about it and planted drugs in my car and I went to jail for 3 years, and then you're like, I'm white and I got called a Karen at the grocery store. You're saying it's just like at the point when the conversation is taking that turn, you're it's no longer appropriate for you to take up that much space with it if it's going to be triggering to the other person.
Yeah, depending on how the conversation is going, right? Like let's say I'm having a conversation like I don't think microaggressions are that big of a deal, or I don't think racism is that big of a deal against black people. I think it's overblown a lot. And then one guy is like, my dad was profiled and killed in front of me by a police officer when I was 8 years old. Okay. Now I might say, okay, well, statistically speaking, how many fucking like unarmed fathers are killed in front of children? You're like a 1 in 100 million. Your case is actually statistically irrelevant. I don't know why the fuck you would even bring that up. Anecdote, Andy. I could say that,
Right.
and I'd be logically within my right to say it. And even for the purposes of the conversation, it might be important to establish
That's what you said to the grandma on the abortion panel.
Sure.
Okay.
But in the heat of the
So-
moment, well, but I don't care about that, grandma. You said you do care about your friendship with Stardust, right?
Yes. No. I'm not saying you're a hypocrite. I'm
Yeah.
just pointing out that.
Sure.
guess
I'm telling you that I will go that far sometimes. If I feel like it's really important, I'll go that far.
Yes,
but
but
I know that like that might be the end of our friendship because that's just the position that I'm staking out, and I know this is going to be a big deal. Yeah. But I would go in it with that understanding basically, and I wouldn't be upset with the person. Like when I had that huge, and I don't even know if I'm like emotionally at the same level of maturity. That I was then. I hope I've gotten more mature. But like when I had a very, very, very uncomfortable conversation with Trihex about the N-word. That was the most popular thing on all of Reddit, where he's like almost crying to me, telling me that it's like really fucked up that I feel this way about like language and blah, blah, blah. And I'm telling him basically like, well, tough shit. I mean, that's how I feel. That was a very awkward conversation to have. But having that conversation, I understand like, okay, well, I might be losing him as a friend forever if I do this. But like, that's where I'm taking this out. But I wouldn't be surprised if like our friendship ended here. Because I know that the investment from them as a white person.
He altered.
Well, no, stop. I'm just saying that the investment for me as a white person is very low. Like at the end of the day, who cares about the N-word? I'm white. I don't care. It's not like, what do I care?
Did it cost you your friendship with him?
No, we're cool now.
Okay.
But that's the understanding that I had going into that circumstance. And I think that you should have that understanding. So if you do care about a friendship, right, then it's good to understand that you need to pull back. Otherwise, you can't act surprised when the person is like, oh, I don't think I can handle this friendship anymore.
Well, she didn't say that. She just stopped talking to me.
Well, but that's obvious. That's what's going on.
Well, yeah, but let's see. Okay, do you concede that you're asking me to read her feelings in the conversation, set boundaries for her about what kind of conversation is appropriate or acceptable for her to have, and then read her feelings after the conversation? And even if I ask her how she's feeling or if she wants to talk about it, if she says, no, I'm fine, I don't want nothing, everything's fine, what are you talking about? I'm totally fine, things are totally cool. If I sense that things are not cool, I should still act as though she said, no, I'm really fucked up about this and I can't handle this.
Yep.
Like you're
It's
You're asking
really
me to do
cringe and it's really annoying. But yeah, I learned this when I was 30. It's people's words are just one part of the whole picture that they're selling you.
yeah, totally.
And
Yeah,
sometimes
you
it
can
comes to
tell.
the point to where
agree.
like you have to kind of just ignore what they're saying. Whatever they're saying, it doesn't matter.
I know exactly what you mean.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. Um. I don't think I want that. I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to do it with Shaylin. We've established this, but I don't. I don't want to do it with friends.
Okay. That's fair. That's only you
Does
can
this
make
feel
that.
gendered to you at all? Do you think you'd be saying the same thing? I know you're talking about Trihex in the same way. Do you think it's my job more because I'm a man to look out for her feelings?
I think that people have a lot of reasons for saying and doing the things that they say and do. And sometimes people feel like they need to lie to protect themselves. And when you can identify that somebody is in that state of mind, it's up to you to figure out how you want to proceed.
You know what my problem is
What?
with everything you just said?
Yeah, go for it.
Women lying to protect themselves sexually is the thing I'm complaining about.
Okay.
So I'm telling a story about something that women. She's like, "Oh, you made a video essay about this topic," and I'm like, "Yeah, the video essay was called How to Say No to Sex."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm saying, just say no. You got to be honest about that. You don't want to have sex. Say no. Don't argue. Don't make excuses. Don't lie. Don't change the subject. Just say you don't want to have sex.
Yeah.
And she was like, "I really like this video. I really want to talk about it." So the context is we're talking about how much this horrible thing has affected me. Like, yes, it affects women and the risks are greater for them. I agree with everything you're saying, but my video is really about how it affects me. How it's affected me to not be able to say no to sex and be put in like weird situations that I should not have been put in or allowed myself to be put in. And then B, how it feels to be trying to negotiate something with something so loaded with somebody who is lying to you.
Okay.
So I think given the context, for her to start doing it in the conversation, I'm like, the whole point of my video is I don't think men should mind read women to a certain extent. I don't think it should be assumed or relied on that men are going to mind read women and say no for them. Women have to say no on their own. And then Stardust wants to say no to the conversation and then can't. And she won't say it. So I think that's why I was like, well, just like, are you really? You're not upset? Like fine. And like with sex, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have sex with somebody who is like, yeah, I want to have sex. It's fine. Go ahead. Like I agree with you there. But in terms for a conversation, between two professionals and friends about the topic of how women need to say no, or people need to say no and set their own boundaries, I think I just couldn't do it.
Sure. Which is fair.
Or didn't.
And I think you have like every right at some point to say like, okay, well, this is fucking annoying to me. I don't want to like be involved in this.
Okay, but you're also saying it's not appropriate, or that I just shouldn't have. I know you're saying it's a conditional, like, well, if you're okay with things falling apart, then you shouldn't do that. But I feel like there's a middle ground where like I really care about Stardust and I really valued our friendship, but
But not
really,
more than this argument.
right. It's not the argument. It's that I can see. I need to hold my boundaries in order to not be embroiled in a friendship that doesn't work for me. Like if I set
Well, this has nothing to do
now,
with like holding boundary. This had to do with this particular heated exchange.
No, it's gonna just keep happening.
Well, yeah, but like there's a million ways to end a friendship over something like this that doesn't involve like an ultra heated exchange, right? You could slowly ghost her and not respond to her as much, and then that's like a non-confrontational way to do it. You could
Well,
just
that's what she
message her
did.
and say like, hey, like this is just like something that this is like I just don't feel as comfortable with this, right? There's a lot of ways you could think of ways, I'm sure, to end a relationship that aren't as dramatic as on a live
Well,
stream.
but it's not that I wanted to specifically end the relationship. It was like I want to be in the relationship, but I want to be in it in a certain way. And the way I need to be in it is if you don't want to talk about something, you have to tell me. You can't ask me to do a stream with you and then signal to me that you actually can't handle it and then expect me to caretake you. I don't want to adopt. I'm not trying to adopt people.
Yeah, that's fine, but like I don't know if I argued with you about this or somebody else. Sometimes just saying something like that can be really manipulative or feel manipulative. Do you understand? Or do you want me to elaborate? Or I don't mean that sounded kind of more condescending than I wanted to sound, but do you want me to
I
elaborate on
understand,
that?
but you can elaborate if you want. I get. Do you want me to elaborate on it
Whatever you want to do,
to show that I understand?
if you want to.
You're saying that on one hand I'm setting a boundary from my perspective, but from her perspective it sounds like I'm saying you better have this conversation with me, or you better learn to say no right now, or I'm gonna abandon you.
Exactly. Yeah. So you perfectly understand what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And then, so on your end, your feeling is like, I'm having a conversation about how nice it would be if people could set strict boundaries. And this motherfucker is trying to avoid the conversation by not setting a strict boundary. You came to me praising me that I was giving you advice to do the very thing that you are now doing the antithesis of, and then getting upset at me for it. That's your perspective, which is fair, and I can understand why that's like, fuck, how fucking annoying, right? But then on the flip side, on the other person's side, they're like, I set certain boundaries to protect myself because I find that people push really hard. Now there's somebody that I am friends with and I respect, and now they're pushing me really hard in a conversation to acquiesce on something that I'm starting to feel uncomfortable about, and now I'm in the very position that I don't want to be in, where somebody's pushing really hard on me in a really intense way in a conversation about boundaries. And that's the feeling from their side. So, but I think that the risk for you is very low because it's just a conversation about friendships and boundaries or whatever. But the risk for them is these are behaviors associated with like sexual pressure, which is usually way more high stakes or way more high risk, which is I think the feeling that they have, Stardust in this case.
I think caving is low risk each time you do it. But having been in relationships like the one that I imagine would develop with Stardust, were I to do what you're suggesting, I feel like you can waste your whole fucking life reading people's feelings for them and taking care of them, and
Yeah, but you don't have to do
basically
it.
just parenting them.
Yeah, but like I said before,
Why-
you don't have to. You could just say like, you can message them and be like, hey, listen, like, I'm sorry, but like we have way different expectations. There's like a million less dramatic ways to exit that relationship, right?
Well, I wasn't trying to exit in the first stream. I wasn't trying to exit the relationship.
No, but
you're talking about the second stream.
at some point in the second stream, you had made the determination that we can't be close friends anymore, right? But like once that determination is made, it's probably like, okay, you just back off, and then like later you have the conversation because like they're super emotionally
Okay, so you think it was
compromised.
harsh for me to angrily tell her why I don't want to be her friend?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Well,
Because keep in mind, like again, this is why I criticize you on the empathy thing. On her perspective, her boundaries were too loose, and then she got either raped or sexually assaulted, and now she's like, fuck. So she tightened her boundaries up a lot, and now she's being attacked on a live stream saying your boundaries are too tight, and this is why it frustrates me. So it's like, fuck me, holy shit.
I didn't say that. I didn't say they were too tight though. I just said I don't like it.
It's the same thing, right?
It's fucking. I mean, anybody who's ever dated somebody who's been raped or molested or abused knows that like you want to be supportive, but it's also pretty fucking annoying.
I don't want to be supportive to rape or abuse victims in personal relationships. I wouldn't date somebody that has that type of stuff going on that required constant support because I wouldn't be able to support it. I'd get burned out, and then it would be really negative. So you're not obligated to. You don't have to.
I'm not saying you're obligated. I'm just saying even if you choose to date somebody who has those kind of issues, you can empathize with them and at the same time be like, this is fucking terrible.
Sure.
I mean, it's like if you're
But
dating
you can
someone
also
who
say
gets
there are people
cancer-
that like I've been with who have been like, this is too much for me to handle. It's like, oh, okay, this isn't gonna work, and then you just kind of like leave. But I wouldn't be like, you need to solve your depression right now, or I'm gonna stop talking to you because the burden is too high on me. Look at me. Like
But I
that's
didn't
because
say
that's
that.
essentially, no, that well, kind of.
Okay. I asked her to talk about it on stream. The first conversation. She said she was fine. I DM'd her afterward. She said she was fine. Or she said she was upset but didn't she just like didn't respond and then didn't want to talk about it.
Okay.
I DM'd her again later. Then she DM'd me changing the subject to something else and I was like, I feel like we should talk about this because this is weird. Then she came into the sex worker stream and like said something like passive aggressive to me on stream. Then we DM'd again. Then we like didn't talk for like a month and then I think I just was like asking her to talk about this every like 2 or 4 weeks. And then finally she was like, okay, let's talk about it, but I want Chud to be there. So we agreed to that. It takes another month to actually do it. And then by the time we do it, I'm like, I feel like you ditched me, and she's like, stop whining.
I don't think she said stop
You're,
whining.
she,
I think
she
she said
did.
that she didn't feel
literally said no. She literally said stop whining.
Okay, it might have gotten to that point, but initially I think she was saying she didn't feel like she ditched you. She just kind of like was like had some distance for a while, but she still supported you publicly. She wasn't like an anti-friend or an anti-fan or like started to become a hater or anything. But she felt like she needed some space.
Yeah, that's fine, but you can't take space by just not talking to me.
You can take space
And for us to be
friends. Of course you could. For you to be friends, maybe not. But
for us to be friends.
Sure.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying. So I don't think that's the same. I don't think that's the same. Again, you're I get what you're saying. You're saying that my boundary can feel like, if I'm saying I can't be friends with somebody who can't handle conflict in a relationship, you're saying that can come across as change your psychology right now or I'm leaving.
Or it's an invitation for a big argument. Yeah. There's like one-to-one parallels we can draw in sexual situations, right? Like if I get to the point to where I'm on a second date with somebody, we're in bed, we're just kind of like hanging out, like sitting there, and I'm like, I really want to mess around, and she's like, I don't know if I'm comfortable yet, and I'm like, okay, well, I don't really think I can date you if you're not okay with like fucking
I agree that that's
and you can argue that
mild rape attempt.
Yeah, well, fuck, we don't even have to fuck the word rape. Who cares? We're both pro rape here, okay? Really? Do we really care? What I'm saying,
I think it's worth labeling. Yeah.
Sure. Okay. Rapey. Sure. But like the issue here is that like you can argue, well, all I'm doing is asserting a boundary. I'm just saying that like, if she doesn't want to fuck me, I don't really want to do it.
Yeah, a lot of manipulation is also just asserting about. You can frame it that way.
And it doesn't have to be intentional, but like that's all I'm saying is that like when somebody is already like, I'll say emotionally dysregulated, and then you're pushing on their boundaries heavily. And again, it's high risk for them and low risk for you. It's a, bad, uncomfortable situation for them to be in. Like super uncomfortable.
I guess it feels like you're coaching me to withdraw though, because I'm saying.
No, what I'm saying is there's more appropriate ways or times to re-engage. So you could call it withdrawal, sure. There's times when it's probably appropriate to withdraw a bit because you can find a more appropriate time to engage.
At some point, I'm gonna have to be like, listen, you're like crossing a line for me. We're like, I can't really call you my friend if you're gonna treat me this way.
Yeah, but you do it when their emotional state is like not as intense and they're not as in an intense moment, because that moment was very intense and there's no reason for it to be, right? Like you don't that didn't have to happen. That conversation, that resolution, that didn't have to happen right there. Didn't need to be done at that point in time. Could have been done later. There would have been no difference other than like saving her mental or emotional pain.
So what would I do to do it later? Just pretend that we're cool.
Just be like, oh, okay,
be like,
well, we can chat about it, I guess, later. Like, it's fine. We can drop the topic now. And then later on message her and be like, hey, like, yeah.
And just break up with her.
Basically, yeah. Because what do you lose by doing that? Because we can obviously see the huge gains to her, like, emotional well-being. What do you lose doing that? Other than maybe you have to fake being friendly with somebody for...
I don't see it's huge gains to her emotional well-being. I don't get the difference. I mean, I'm just because I'm just pretending that I feel like we're friends when I feel like she just
Wait, hold on. You don't see any huge gains to her emotional well-being if you quote unquote break up later versus forcing the issue right there on stream?
Okay. A friendship ending on stream is bad for you, and it's better if it ends in private.
Well, no, I'm not even talking about the context at all. I'm just saying to analyze the emotional states. That if somebody is like highly emotional, that's probably not the time to introduce that subject or try to resolve that topic.
But that's what we were meeting to talk about.
You weren't meeting to talk about ending the friendship.
I think we both were airing out some pretty huge grievances with each other.
Yeah, that's fine.
We were meeting to talk about.
But I don't think either of you were going into that with like, this might be the last time I ever talk to this person. I don't think that was on the table for either of you. That's my guess going into it.
I don't want it to be the last time I ever talk to her. I didn't say I'll never talk to you again. I just said, like definitionally, I don't think we're friends if you stop speaking to me for months when you get mad at me and you won't even tell me that you're mad at me. How can, like, it wasn't like I was saying, at this point, I no longer want to be your friend. It was more like me saying, we're already not friends.
Yeah, I understand, but obviously she didn't know that it was going to be that intense, right? I think this is unarguable. You kind of have to give this, right? I don't think she knew, because if she did know that, then why was the emotional reaction so extreme? Or I would,
Yes,
yeah.
no, she didn't. She did not understand that I felt that way.
Yeah, that it was this extreme.
Well, I don't know, because she already knew that we weren't speaking. Essentially, we weren't really speaking.
Yeah, but a lot of people,
For
you said it
months.
yourself, a lot of people.
No, but
So-
she knew we weren't speaking for months in the face of an obvious big conflict that was happening that we weren't talking about. She knew that.
Okay, I disagree with you, but let's say that I grant this and then I move on to the next question. Then why was she so emotional? If she already knew this was like likely the direction things were heading.
I'm saying they didn't change. I don't think much changed in the conversation, except she was informed that this doesn't meet my definition of friendship.
Yeah, but that could be a big change, right?
I
Like
think the
maybe
thing
I
that- I
decide in
think
my
the
head
thing I
right now.
said
Maybe,
that-
wait,
I thought-
maybe I decide in my head right now that like I don't like traveling and I don't like travelers, and that's the thing that I feel right now. And I go to have a serious conversation with Melina, and then through like halfway through the conversation, she realizes, wait, I think he's about to break up with me. And then she's like, "Are you breaking up with me?" And I'm like, "Yeah, like probably if this is a thing, right?" Now she's gonna become like
Wait,
emotional.
that's
Yeah.
different. I don't think that's a good comparison because in mine, I'm saying it would be like if Melina just like disappeared and then stopped speaking to you entirely. You had no idea where she was. And then
Okay.
she comes back 6 months later and she's like, I think we should talk about our marriage. I wanna talk about my feelings about why I did that. And then you're like, well, what marriage? Like I don't think of you as my wife anymore. Like you disappeared for I haven't heard from you or seen you in 6 months. And then she's like, oh my God, you're divorcing me? It's like, no, I'm not saying I'm saying that you left. You left the
Yeah,
friendship.
but the difference is that like
I'm
the expectation there is that like if you're a wife or some shit and you leave your partner for that long, of course it's gonna be. But friendship, there's probably like slightly different expectations. Because you
they're
yourself said in that
different,
conversation, you're like
wait,
some.
but
Go ahead.
my point is that we have different expectations. That Stardust thinks you can, if you're uncomfortable with somebody and they're your friend, you can just stop speaking to them for 3 months, essentially, and you'll still be friends.
Okay.
And I don't think that. Because to me, that's like, no, we're not friend. We can still be friendly, but like the amount of trust and closeness that I would call friendship, I can't have with you.
Yeah,
at
we're not
that
arguing
point.
about any
And
of
but
this.
we already
None of this is relevant.
we already
Yeah,
don't have it.
none of this is relevant. I'm just saying that regardless of how you're justifying it now, it's obvious that she didn't think that going in. Or if she did, you need to explain to me why she was so emotional. Why was she so upset about it if she knew that this would like be a potential outcome going into it? Because I don't understand that then. I don't know why she would be so upset. Especially if if you thought the friendship was already over and she thought the friendship was already over, right? It seems clear to me that she didn't think that.
She's upset to find out that I define where we're at as not being friends. I think she's upset to find out that I'm saying in order to be friends with me, you have to do something that you are not comfortable with doing and don't either
Yeah,
don't want
but
to
it's
or
you're
don't
saying
know-
you're
don't know
restating
how
the
to
same
do.
thing. She didn't know the friendship was on the line at that point. And now that it is, it makes the conversation a lot more emotionally intense.
Yes, but it's not like I changed anything.
Well, what
It's
happened
not-
was
it's not-
you revealed an internal state of mind that she didn't know about. You didn't have to change anything. You just revealed something.
Yes, but it also doesn't like um if you break up with somebody, you're like, we have to stop doing what we've been doing. Or things you have to move out. We can't see each other. We can't have sex anymore. But with Stardust, I was saying like, we're already broken up. We're already not friends.
Yeah,
This
but
is
she
what
might.
not
But
friends do.
it's different. She might not feel that way, right? Maybe for you,
I
that's
know,
not what friends
I know,
do.
but I know, but I'm saying you're making it sound like I ended a relationship, and I'm saying
But you
I
did.
just told her. I don't agree.
Okay, well, you're wrong.
I agree that that is a framing of it, but I'm saying that's not from my perspective.
Yeah, but there's two perspectives. Okay, I've got a friend.
Yes.
I've got a
Yes,
friend. Wait, real quick. I have a friend, Kyle. Okay, real life friend of mine. I don't think we've spoken in like 3 or 4 years. It's been a long time. But we like grew up together. He's been on stream a lot. Like we just haven't talked in a long time. Now I would hope maybe if I message him that he'd be like, holy shit, we haven't talked forever. Like let's chill, or whatever. But if he were to message me tomorrow and he'd be like, hey, we haven't spoken in like 2 or 3 years. Like, don't ever talk to me again. Like, I'm not going to do that. This is not my idea of a friendship. If he sent me that, I'd be a little bit, like, upset. I'd be like, oh, shit. Well, I'm sorry. I didn't even know that. My bad. Now, he could say, well, it's always been like that in my mind. It's like, okay, sure, but I didn't know that. Damn, I thought we had, like, a different understanding of things. And
Yeah,
she might have
if he
been
said,
the same.
I believe if he said, I don't think of you as my friend anymore.
Yeah. I'd be like, oh, well, fuck. And then he'd be within his right to say that. And maybe after year 1 or 2, he'd be like, fuck this guy. I'm done. And that's his right to say that. But I'd still be a little upset. I'd be like, oh, shit, I didn't even know that. I didn't know that was how you viewed it, but.
I don't think that's a good analogy, because you're leaving out the part where I fought for our friendship and where I told her what I needed. I mean, you can call it manipulation or threat, but I think it would be more like if Kyle DM'd you and was like, "What the fuck?" Like
Well, but did
I've
you ever
reached
DM
out
her
to you a
before
few-
that conversation and say, if you don't reach out to me more, if we don't contact each other more, this friendship is over?
No,
So then how would she have known that?
I don't know, but can I finish my analogy?
Okay.
It would be like if Kyle DM'd you and said, "Dude, what?" or called you
Mm-hmm.
and was like, "Dude, what the fuck? We're like, this is not how friends treat each other. Where have you been?"
Sure.
I've
But did you ever say that
think
to
when-
Stardust? No.
Yeah, I did. I said you ditched me. What the?
You
What
ditched me
fuck?
after, but
What-
you never
what?
DM'd her and said, like, hey, we haven't talked as much. Like, what's going on?
I said it on stream. I
Yeah, but
said,
by
"You
then it
ditched
was
me."
already, like, too late, right? Things were already fucked at that point. Like, is there anything she could have said to, like, save the friendship at that point?
Yeah.
What? Groveled?
Fuck you.
Me?
No. Yes.
Oh.
No. No, not groveled. No.
Oh. Well, because it sounds like she would have needed to be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. Like, I didn't know this was you. I won't do this again.
No, I don't want her to apologize. No, I didn't want her to apologize.
Oh.
I hate apologies.
Gotcha. Based.
What could Stardust have said to save our friendship?
Yeah.
For a lot of my life, I've thought that people can. I have a different idea of friendship from you. I think if you're uncomfortable in a friendship, you can just leave and internally shut people out. I understand I did that. I understand I concealed my feelings from you, and I understand how this affected you. I understand that you got banned and you needed a friend and I wasn't there for you. I understand what you're saying. I want the friendship that you're describing.
Well, but she doesn't. She
And
apparently has a totally different style of managing friendships, right? And that wasn't acceptable.
Wait, I'm not. You're asking me what she could have said to save our friendship.
Oh.
Right?
Well, but this isn't about what she could have said. This is she would have needed to have a genuinely different opinion on friendships, right?
Yeah, we're not friends not because she said the wrong thing, but because we actually don't have compatible ideas about what friendship even is.
Yeah, okay. But then all I'm saying
But
is
I didn't know that going into the conversation. I had no idea that
Okay.
she was just going to be like hostile and dismissive of me if I said like you ditched me, and like I'm heartbroken.
yeah, she probably
I had
didn't
no
know
idea
that.
that her response was going to be like, "Go fuck yourself, stop whining."
She probably didn't know that either, that the difference was that big. I mean, I guess.
Right, but you're putting it on me to have known that, or to conceal my emotions about it in the conversation. Again, it feels like you're saying Stardust is. It's okay for Stardust to get really emotional, lash out, call me a whiner for being hurt, and call me an asshole and tell me that I'm like an insensitive person. That's all fine, but it's not fine for me to be like, well, I'm coming to you vulnerable and hurt, and like if you're telling me to stop whining, then I don't see how we can be friends. I don't see how I can trust you after this.
Yeah, the reason why I'm putting it on you was going back to the one thing before, because I think the stakes for the conversation are way higher for her. That's why I put it on you.
Why?
Because of the subject matter at hand. That like the conversations are revolving around boundaries that she feels like she's kind of needed to create because of things related to like sexual assault and stuff, and the boundaries that, and then you're pushing on those boundaries because you're a little bit upset about how like the friendship is turning out.
But do you see how you're just making it the default that I have to take care of her because she's a woman?
You don't have to take care of her. You just have to disengage. And it doesn't have to do with being a woman. It has to do with like who's got like whose boundaries are like more protective here,
Wait.
or who's more.
No, it is taking care of her. You want me to disengage and tell her in private for her sake.
Yeah, but it's not taking care of the woman. Right? I mean, in this case, she is a woman, or I think she is.
Well, you want me to do that because she's a woman?
No, I want you to do that because she's the one that has the riskier boundary. She's the one that's like in the more
As a
vulnerable.
woman.
You guys could be gender reversed and it would be the same thing. But I don't know. The woman thing has nothing to do with it.
Wait, doesn't she have a riskier boundary because she's a woman? I don't understand.
No, because she's talking about these boundaries that she's created because of like sexual engagements where she's being pursued. And you're talking about boundaries that you've created because of sexual engagements where you're the pursuer. There's inherently like a different kind of dynamic at play, right? Like your boundaries are just like whatever keeps you happy and horny, and her boundaries are whatever keeps her from not getting raped. So
No, I don't think so. I think it's not just about that. It's about keeping myself out of this exact type of situation, which it is traumatic for me to be. I've been. I mean, like my fucking marriage. Chasing my wife was such a big part of my 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Chasing her emotionally, pursuing her. It's not about just being happy and horny. I mean, you saw how upset I was. It's not. I feel like it just feels like you think her feelings are like more real than mine.
I think that it's a lot easier for you to step away in that moment than it is for her. I think she's the one that's being harmed more by the interaction.
Because she doesn't know what she's feeling.
Well,
or what to do with those feelings.
It seems like she's feeling upset and she knows that. Or I could tell. You could probably tell.
I just don't. Why is she being harmed more than I am?
Because she's having like I think reasonably like a much more emotional response to the conversation at hand.
I don't think she. I think my emotional response was about the same.
Okay, she's having a more warranted emotional response because I think the subject matter for her is going to be boundaries that put her more at risk than the ones for you that just keep you from like unhealthy relationships, I guess, or unhealthy friendships.
Okay, so you believe me that it's the most upsetting stream I've ever done?
I guess so, yeah.
Okay, and you believe me I was extremely upset, but you're saying it wasn't warranted as much as her being upset, and because my feelings weren't as warranted, I should have moved to protect her.
Sure.
More.
Do you feel like it would have been impossible for you to disengage from that point?
It would have been undesirable for me.
Sure, but do you think it would have been traumatic for you to disengage at that point?
It was already traumatic.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it would have made it worse. Yeah, because it's just another woman, or I mean, it happens with men too sometimes, but specifically woman who is telling me that they're going to abandon me if I don't put their feelings ahead of mine, mind read them.
Well, the abandonment was already going to happen, right? Somebody's abandoning somebody because you guys are obviously fundamentally incompatible. If you need a level of support that she
Wait,
can't
you're
offer.
changing the subject.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
I've lived through this like endless series of women who would say, I'm going to abandon you if you don't take care of me. I'm going to abandon you if you don't pursue me. I'm going to abandon you if you don't manage my boundaries for me. Of course it's traumatic. I mean, like I made the whole Real Doll review with Shaylin. That whole conversation is about this exact thing of like, if you're telling me that our relationship is going to fall apart or this conversation is going to fall apart, if I'm not monitoring you and making sure you're okay for you, then you're telling me that we're not even a couple. Like we're not equals. We don't have we have a parent-child relationship at that point. I would do that for my daughter or my son. but not for a friend or for a partner. That can't be my job. It's been my job or a parent. It's been my job my entire life. Monitoring other people's feelings, caretaking them, and pursuing them. I don't want to do it.
Yeah, that's all fair, but I'm just saying in that particular moment.
It's extremely traumatic for me. I think we both were sitting there traumatized thinking, Jesus Christ, it's happening again for our own separate nightmares.
Okay.
But
then there's nothing nothing else to really be said then. That it just is what it is, and there's no way for you to escape those circumstances, I guess. I mean, that's essentially what you're telling me. Like, I mean, I would say that I believe you having...
I feel like you don't believe me.
I can believe you. It's not really relevant.
You could believe me, but you don't.
I mean,
you can believe me.
I mean,
but you don't.
I can't know your mental state. If you're telling me that you feel this way,
try it, Steven. Look me in the eye and say, "I don't believe you." See, try it. See how it feels.
No,
try it on.
I believe you. There's no reason for me not to believe you. But if this is the case, I mean, like, then you're just doomed to repeat these interactions over and over again, I guess.
Well, if you have a falling out with somebody early on because you realize they're expecting you to be their emotional watchdog and caretaker and monitor and regulator, that's bound to happen with some people. But if you stay in that relationship and you say, well, because you're upset, I'm gonna blah blah blah, or even if you just conduct yourself in a way that's like, well, if you're constantly prioritizing other people's feelings above yours, especially women, it will become much more of a nightmare in your life.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. But the question is, wait, why are we even talking about this?
Because I asked you what you thought, and you said that I didn't handle it well.
Oh.
Or you implied it.
Okay. Well, you know what I thought, but I think there's no point else in continuing the conversation, because it sounds like you feel like you handled it in the best way that you could have, and that like you're okay.
I don't know. No. I feel very guilty and insecure about it.
Well, why? It sounds like you're telling me that you were super traumatized, and
part of me believes that it's my job to caretake women and broken people and figure out their feelings for them and set their boundaries for them and not be myself, not express outrage when somebody abandons me or is publicly humiliating me or whatever. To just not stand up for myself and never like inconvenience or hurt other people. There's part of me that believes that. So like so I am confused about it. Part of me wants to be told that it's my fault, that I did it wrong, and that it was my job to make sure Stardust is okay, and even to just keep being friends with her and tell her we're friends, and just, you know, protect myself secretly in the future from interactions like that with her, but not to tell her, not to make a stand for myself, not to demand a level of friendship that I need. Part of me believes all that. So
what do you want me to help you with?
I don't know. I just want to know what you thought. That's all.
Oh, okay.
You know what I think made it worse?
Her being a woman?
Yeah. No. Getting banned for an anti-rape video.
Maybe.
I think that made the whole thing a lot more awful. I don't know. It's all a nightmare.
Okay. That could, yeah.
All right, so
it's one of the reasons why getting banned for transphobia irritates the fuck out of me, because I've been incredibly staunchly pro-trans before it was politically convenient to be so on Twitch. But so I can believe that.
Yeah. All right. Well. We're done talking about this, right?
Sure. For situations like this that pop up in the future,
Yeah.
what's within your power to control?
A lot. I have a lot of self-control. I could have done everything you're saying. It's not that I couldn't. I chose not to. That's why I feel so bad.
How do you figure in your mind, how do you determine whether or not it's appropriate for you to be emotionally aggressive or not?
I think I think about my role in the conversation. She kept saying I was playing the victim.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I'm like, yeah, like we're both airing out our grievances, so we're both playing the victim. So when it's time for me to complain about how I feel hurt by you, I will play the victim. And then I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna kind of be childish, and that's okay. So I'm gonna let myself, like get teary and express. I'm gonna say what I'm thinking. I'm gonna let loose and say what I would say like if we were off stream. In a different situation with different people or a different role, then I'm like, okay, this isn't my role. Like I'm not demanding to be heard or taken care of or understood in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you disagree that my role there was appropriate, given how she was feeling, or given
maybe
circumstances
maybe it's
of
different. Maybe I would say different things to her, I guess. When I am fixated on an event, I'm usually trying to think of what are the things within my power that I can change to effect a different outcome, right?
Yeah.
And if I'm having a debate with somebody who's getting upset because the conversation is revolving around boundaries they've created that are related to like sexual assault or something, my guess is going to be that there's probably not much they're going to be changing there. That's probably they feel a way about it, and there's not much I can do to intervene there.
Yeah. So then you feel like the conflict is not worth having because
Yeah, I feel like
that's
I
not
have
gonna-
more agency in that situation. I can do more.
Oh, I see. So then you feel like you should step up.
Yeah.
I guess I just always feel like I have more agency. I feel like I can step up in situations where I really shouldn't.
Mm-hmm.
And I have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think there are times where it's appropriate to make bigger emotional asks, where you say like, "Hey, I'm always doing this. I'm not going to do this right now." But that probably needs to be with people that have a very high investment in you. So very close friendships, relationships, family relationships are where it's most appropriate to ask for that, right? And it sounds like your relationship with Stardust was already kind of rocky if you guys hadn't spoken for so long. So that's probably not the best situation to make that kind of an ask there.
But it's what I need.
Yeah, but probably not going to get it from her, right?
I guess not. Apparently not. You have a lot of self-control too, though. You can do the same thing, right? Just like compartmentalize and step up.
Yeah, generally. But I feel like it's been good to like reach out to people, right? I did that in my last big drama, to talk to people and share the burden or whatever the fuck people say to do, which feels good.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it'll just be one of those things that haunts me, I guess.
When you say it haunts you, it makes it feel like there's something that's unanalyzed or unseen, or do you feel like the situation
Just
is...
that part of me thinks everything is my fault and my responsibility. And you're telling me that it kind of is. So don't know.
That might not be
It's
fair. I
confusing.
might be somebody that errs on the side of taking too much responsibility for things. So maybe
Yeah.
that's not the best But I'm just saying, like, if I look at situations, because at the end of the day, the only person that could really, I'm the person that looks out for me the best and the most. And I'm the person that has the most control of the situations that I'm in. So if there's ever adverse situations that I'm involved in, I'm usually looking for, like, what are things that I can do to change those in the future? Because I don't think other people are going to look out for me as much as I'll look out for myself. And then if I do feel like I need help, which I don't because I'm an anime supervillain, but if I do feel like I need help, then the people that I'm going to lean on for help are going to be the people that I really trust, right? I'm not going to be messaging, you know, like a random chatter and like demanding like a ton of emotional consolation from them. It's going to be like a close friend or Melina.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you take responsibility too often.
Yeah,
But
probably.
it's weird because it feels like if you know you have the ability to just like compartmentalize and just like, you know, do whatever, the more responsible thing,
Mm-hmm.
then it's like you're making a choice to be emotional.
A little bit, yeah. But I mean, if you have the capability to, like, why not? You just have to make sure you're not like abusive towards yourself, because other people can take advantage of that, right?
Well, that's exactly why. I think I am abusive towards myself, and people do take advantage of it.
Yeah. But then it's important to find the people that you feel like you can share yourself with or take care of you, but that's going to be a challenge, right?
Yeah, but I think part of the way I find people like that is by not
Ambushing
getting
them
sucked
in
into this
live.
time. Yeah, no, by not getting sucked into the dynamic of like, no, it wasn't. I wasn't planning on saying any of that. It wasn't an ambush. It was just like I'm just gonna say what I'm thinking. I didn't have a plan.
Sure, but I'm just saying that that's kind of what happened, right? But I'm saying there's other ways you can find
One
people that...
ambush implies that I did have a plan.
Not necessarily. It doesn't have to be.
Okay, I feel like ambush means that you had a plan.
Okay.
And you sprung
Well,
it on
find a
somebody.
different word to take somebody unaware and then thrust upon them an intensely emotional conversation where they're expected to have a high level of emotional care or being able to take care of you in a situation where they feel like they need care. That's a really difficult position for most people to be in, especially if they weren't prepared for it or weren't planning on it, especially if they have their own problems too.
But you don't think she ambushed me?
No, I mean, or maybe you can argue you in a way it felt like you both ambushed each other.
I know, but you don't feel like that. You feel like I just possess a greater ability to
When
tamp
I
down
look
my
at the
feelings.
norms of humans and the things that are being discussed between the two of you, the feeling
She's
I
a
have...
lady. She's a
No,
woman.
that's not, I don't care about that. The feelings that I have are that the particular topics being discussed, my expectation would be on you to manage the emotional sides of things more than her. That'd be my guess, based on the norms of like what's being presented in the conversation. But for various reasons, each of you could feel differently about that, right?
But you don't think it's gendered?
I don't know, it could be. I don't think it is, but if it makes you feel better, you can say it is.
It only makes me feel better when you say it, Steven.
Okay, well then no, I don't think it's gendered.
This is why I said it's not your fault that I got banned.
Because you think I'm taking some huge emotional burden on myself that I'm just not willing to share with you.
I don't even think you're aware of it.
Oh, okay. Don't worry. A lot of people have said the same.
That you think everything's your fault.
No, that I'm engaged in some weird emotional repression.
Oh, yeah. And I identify with
With those people.
no, with you.
Oh, okay.
Identify with what I think you're feeling. I can really relate to what you're
To-
saying
yeah.
you're not feeling,
The
but I think
empath
that
thing.
you are.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah.
There's a version of me inside your head, and man, that version of me and you are just two peas in a pod.
These guys were remarkably similar.
Yeah.
What a coincidence. I know it's funny, but I really do think that.
Okay. Well, that's good.
That's why it's only funny if it's true.
Okay.
Or if I think it's true, I mean.
I mean, arguably, I was in that position 2 months ago where there was a person that existed in my head that was very empowering for me that probably wasn't a real human being, right? So, I mean, hey, I actually perfectly empathize with those feelings, you know? I know exactly where you're at. Welcome to the schizo
Well, we can never
world.
really know each other ourselves, so it's all projection.
I mean, it's not all projection, right? We assume a certain mental state. Certain mental states produce certain actions, and as we are around each other more and we see each other act more, we as in like humans
We'll
in general,
see. Yeah, you will
we can
see
figure out like the internal mental state, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if you do what I predict you're going to do.
Yeah.
Based on my thinking that you feel responsible for everything, but experience it as never feeling guilty.
Yeah. True.
I feel your guilt.
Okay. I don't have any, but
You do. It's just in my head instead of yours.
gotcha. Okay.
One day I'm gonna give it back to you, though, Steve. I'm gonna dump it right on your head.
Gotcha.
What do you got going on this week? So you're a busy man. What's the plan?
Tomorrow I have a real life debate with a libertarian guy that I think ran for president. Spike Cohen. And then the day after that on Sunday, I fly to Texas for about a week, like 5 days.
Oh yeah, I saw the thumbnail. Changed my mind.
Yeah, I'm doing a Crowder-esque thing. We'll see how it goes. I want to do more like real life stuff, and talking to people who have different political backgrounds seems to be a strength of mine. So yeah, it should be fun.
Yeah. Yeah, I assume you're not going to beat them over the head with your binder and try to make them feel as stupid and humiliated as humanly possible.
Yeah, that'll be the goal. Although, regardless of how you feel about him, I think that for the real life events, I think Crowder tries to come off as like pretty reasonable. Like based on what I've seen of him, he's usually like, "Oh, don't you get this?" and blah 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 blah. Like he's trying to look good and have the college kids agree with him. He's not trying to be like super evil or aggressive. At least from what I've seen him when he does those events.
I think he's evil and aggressive.
I know. What?
Nice. Well, I hope you have a good trip.
Yeah, me too.
Is there anything else you feel we should say to each other?
I don't know. Is that anything else?
I think that's it for me.
Okay, matey. Are you sure?
Yeah. For now.
Do you want to talk to Stardust? She's messaging me.
No.
Okay.
I will talk. I mean, I'm not. It's not that I don't want to talk to Stardust ever. I just have to go.
Okay.
I can't do it right now.
Gotcha.
But I'll watch you talk to Stardust if you're gonna talk to her, or I'll talk to her another time.
Okay.
Yeah, I feel like if we're gonna talk about it more, it's gonna be a pretty long conversation, and I can't do it right now.
Okay, that's fine. When I make a blueprint, guys, how do I get the landfill as well? Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right. Well, I love you. I'll talk to you later. Okay, buddy?
I love you too.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, I watched the conversation. I'm I'm legit like. I think you asked some good questions. But I do think that Max still doesn't seem to understand the issues, because I've tried to explain it to him several times, even in the conversation with Chud Logic. I spoke with him, and I told him that, you know, if it's even about test being this like broad thing, we can call it a test. But you specifically said word for word that me waiting for sex is a power play, or it's manipulative, or it's like putting a biscuit on a dog's nose, right? So these are very clearly negative connotations. And I don't. So it's fine if he doesn't want to be friends. I'm actually like very, I don't know. So where should I go with this?
Do you understand his perspective for why it's upsetting in the conversation?
Yeah, he felt like he asked me a couple of times if I was fine, and I at the time, you know, I didn't really feel any sort of way about it. I didn't really feel upset about it. I didn't feel bothered by the conversation until about, like, again, 46 minutes in, because I went line by line in this. And part of me feeling uncomfortable in the conversation is when he started getting antagonistic. So, but it was fine. I was willing to just kind of withdraw. I think that's a pretty normal thing that people do to each other, is they withdraw. I didn't completely ghost him. I will admit that I did withdraw. I didn't message him as often. But I think that's normal for when somebody's describing this action that seems pretty necessary for a lot of people as manipulative, or comparing it to me demeaning a man like he's a dog. I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to react to that. You know,
so I think the issue that he had was that initially it seemed like he'd made a video that was criticizing this type of behavior, and that you reached out to him and explicitly agreed with his condemnation of this type of behavior. Then you laid out a defense for that type of behavior, and then when he pushed you on it, in a similar manner of somebody playing, he would say playing games in terms of like saying like doing a test, you also kind of did another test in the middle of a conversation about tests where you told him that you were okay with a conversation that maybe you weren't fully okay with, and then all of it kind of came to a head where it's like, you came to me saying that you liked the concept that I talked about in a video, but then you disagreed with me about that concept, and then you executed the antithesis of that concept in the conversation with you about the concept, and now I'm mind fucked over it. That was like his perspective on that.
Sure.
I'm not saying you're right
Sure.
or wrong, I understand your reaction. I'm just saying that was like his perspective. That's why he felt like so ultra mind fucked about the interaction, right?
Yeah, and honestly, I would say like he was trying to figure out that whether I was upset by that or not, and I truly was not upset by it until midway. And even then, I people are in these situations where you feel like something's off, but you're not really sure what exactly. And it felt like he kept pushing and pushing me in that conversation and trying to get a reaction out of me, and trying to make me feel like a manipulative person for having boundaries. And it didn't really fully register like how much that made me uncomfortable until much later. So but it is,
and that could be that's
so.
totally fair, by the way, right? Like that's fair that you can have that, but then it can also be fair for the other person to be upset. Like I guess since all I do is sex comparisons now, like imagine you're talking to somebody like, I'm gonna hook up with you, do you want to hook up with me? You're like, yeah. And you kind of rant all night. You're like, God, it's so nice to meet somebody who just wants to hook up, and there's not like any weird, like, we don't have to do any fucking bullshit dating stuff. Like, we're gonna go to our house, we're gonna fuck. And you're like, yes, this is awesome, that's cool, we're on the same page. And then as soon as you guys get to the person's house, they start like, well, maybe we should watch some TV first. Like, do you want to go like get a bottle of wine? You want to do all this? And then the other person's like, well, wait a second. I thought you said that we weren't doing this. And then the other person
Yeah.
is starting to feel like, well, this is getting a little bit rapey. You're like, well, I don't know. And then the other person's like, well, hold on, now you're fucking with me. And while the person with like the defensive boundaries, I understand why they would have the defensive boundaries. It makes sense. The other person starts to feel like, wait, I thought we came here explicitly not doing this, and now you're doing this, and now I feel like I'm being fucked with. And I guess I'm fucking with you by telling you I'm being fucked with, but now that makes me feel fucked with even more, because now you've like kind of reneged on an agreement we had, and now that you've upset me and you're upset, I'm supposed to take care of both of our feelings. That's like the feeling that person's getting.
Yeah,
right?
I didn't want him to take care of my feelings either, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this whole thing about like trauma or whatever, like I'm not like super interested in like making this about stuff like that. I just found it to be a very uncomfortable conversation,
Mm-hmm.
and I found the part that upset me the most about the conversation is that it really did feel like he was trying to get a reaction out of me. It felt like he was trying to get a fight out of me. Like there are points in it where he is very clearly upping how much how antagonistic he's being,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't like being messed with like that.
Sure, but then the question is he upping that antagonism because he's intentionally trying to fuck with you, or is he getting emotionally dysregulated and then his actions are becoming more unhinged?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Not to say that it's right or wrong. I'm just saying that, like, there's a difference between, like, he's trying to fuck with you. He's like, I'm going to fucking get this Indian bitch. I'm going to fucking take her out. Or is he like, I'm getting so fucking frustrated that
Yeah.
I'm just going off, right? Like, there's, like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm saying. I can go. Not that either one is okay, but that, like, I can understand one. And another one would be like, this person is evil, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there. Who knows? Who knows if he was intentionally trying to get a reaction out of me? It felt like that. It felt very manipulative. I can't say what his actual motives are, but I don't think the friendship is something that's going to work out anyways. Like this, it exploded in such a
Super dramatic way.
such a dramatic way, and then he made it about like my history, which is like I don't think I don't think I intentionally made anything about my history. I don't think I intentionally made anything about my feelings too much, other than being uncomfortable with it and not wanting to be fucked with. And I don't like having my history and my stuff being brought up and being used against me either, because that's what it felt like happened in the Chud Logic conversation. And it just felt like already, okay, the first conversation we had, it felt like you were fucking with me, trying to get a reaction out of me. Now in the second conversation we're having, you really are trying to get a reaction out of me. You're really trying to fuck with me. And you're like saying like, oh, I feel like I'm raping you right now. Like, I don't know. Like this feels a little bit, it feels melodramatic. It feels like I don't want to be engaged in this anymore.
Sure, which is fair. Like, you're both totally fair and within your rights to say that, right?
Yeah. Yep. I think that's it for now. I don't know. Yeah, I just don't like. I don't like him using like, and then him like making these assumptions about me. You're saying like, oh, you're clearly very terrified or traumatized, and I don't know. Maybe subconsciously, like both of us are, but I really was mostly like the most upsetting thing for me is feeling like you were trying to elicit a negative reaction out of me for your stream.
Maybe a little bit. I think that one of the issues is that there's two potential reasons. There's two potential things going on when somebody says that another person is in an emotionally dysregulated state, in an aggressive manner. There's two realities. Either one, you really are emotionally compromised, or two, you aren't. The problem with ever calling it out is in an aggressive manner is that it really doesn't matter. The reaction's going to be really negative either way. Because even if you are like in an emotionally dysregulated state, there has never, ever, ever in the history of all of mankind been an argument where one person says to the other, I think you're really unhinged right now. And the other person's like, you know what? I think I am kind of unhinged right now. Thanks for pointing it out. Yeah. It's the equivalent of telling your girlfriend, like, are you on your period? When you're like in the middle of a fight. It's like, she might actually be PMSing. And if you've been dating for a girl long enough, you'll know like you're PMSing. But like if you say in the middle of an argument, even if you're right, it doesn't matter. Like it's over. Like you've like declared war, you know? So it's just like never a good thing to do. There's just no reason for it. Because even if you're right, you're not going to get anywhere with it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I was like super annoyed listening to MrGirl speak during the convo, but now I don't remember a lot of the stuff. I think I just feel like he doesn't seem to understand still. He doesn't seem to, and I'm not at his whole thing about like taking care of me is also like, I don't like that, you know. I don't like this idea of having to take care of me emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
So
Sure.
yeah, I think it's soy. Well, I mean, I don't know if it's actually soy, but yeah, I don't like it. I don't like it. Feels like kind of
It's condescending. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it feels really condescending that, oh, I have to take care of you. Well, no, you don't have to take care of me. I just needed to withdraw, and you needed to like maybe like express to me that that was bothering you that much,
Mhm.
but that didn't happen. We had this miscommunication, and now you're talking about taking care of me. I don't know. It really rubs me the wrong way.
Mhm.
So
I think in a way, it is a form of taking care of, but to ask somebody to put, because you're both having an emotional reaction, and you're asking him to like put his aside or his conflict resolution aside and chill. So in a way, you are, even if it seems a little sorry, in a way you are asking like, hey, can you be considerate of my feelings or make space for my feelings right now? But it's, I think it's okay to ask for that. It's not, you're not like in the wrong for saying like, hey, can you like chill? I think you're within your right to make that.
yeah, I mean, I
request.
didn't even fully ghost him. I will agree that I withdrew, but
Mhm.
but I was still like, you know, distant, and I was friendly, and I still, you know, it took me longer to reply to his messages, but you know, it wasn't like I let him send me message after message and never respond to him.
Sure,
It
but like
just it
to
was
him, that's
distant,
probably
you know?
like, just because of the kind of person he is, that's probably even worse than completely cutting off contact, right?
Yeah, maybe.
Mhm.
Yeah. And I don't know why he had to keep bringing it back to me being female. Like, that's never gotten in the way of our friendship before.
I think he
Like
hates
our
women.
sex.
That's a separate thing, though.
Yeah. Yeah. I've never let like our I don't think our sex has ever been particularly important in our friendship, but yeah, it's just a very irritating situation. So
Sure.
yeah.
Which is fair to be irritated.
I don't know. I have to think about it more. I still really truly feel, and I know this is just like in my head probably, but I still really truly feel like he was trying to get a reaction out of me. And I could be wrong about it, but I don't know. I just felt really rubbed the wrong way about it, and I would have been fine if we just continued having a normal conversation about it. I feel like we could have continued having a normal conversation about it, and it would have been fine. But he kept trying to like, kind of like, strong arm me into agreeing with him that it's manipulative to. It's manipulative for me specifically, because I said to him plenty of times in the first conversation, like, there are other people who may use this as a test, or may use it as a power play. But when I'm talking about myself, I'm truly not doing that. And he was saying, well, I think you're lying. I don't think that's true. I think that you are using it as a power play.
Sure,
And
probably because
then
he was getting emotional. He was a little unhinged, right?
yeah, and then and then in the next conversation we have with Chud Logic present, he was saying, "Oh, well, I wasn't even talking specifically about you," which is like, no, that's not what happened. You know, again, I looked at this line by line. You know, that you specifically kept bringing it back to me, and you would not let me continue the conversation without without trying to make me say that my need of waiting before getting physical with somebody is demeaning them or is a power play on my part. And if he could have at least let that part of it go, then I think we could have even had a normal conversation overall about it, because there are people who do that. And I haven't used it, but I'm sure there's a possibility in the future of using withholding it. Like, I hope I don't, but but yeah, there's always a possibility, right? So we could have had a much more abstract conversation about it, but he wasn't willing to move past this idea of me specifically using it as a power play.
Sure.
So yeah. Sorry, am I being boring?
No,
anything?
I understand what you're saying, but I mean, yeah. Just
Okay.
yeah. I don't know if there's
It's not really much to say in response to that. So.
mhm.
So plans for the rest of the night?
Probably sleeping soon because I have a debate tomorrow.
Yeah.
So
Good luck with the debate.
yeah.
Are you? Well, no, I'll message you about it. Sorry for messaging you during the your guys' talk. I didn't mean to.
Oh no, you're good. The only reason I didn't respond is because I didn't want to have like a huge like debate shit show. I was
Yeah,
talking
no,
about
I
it when you were
understand
talking
that.
afterwards.
Yeah. I honestly, I don't think it's really worth, doing anything with that right now at this point in time. Maybe like further down the line, but I think right now it's best if we just kind of keep our distance. So
Yeah, probably yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'm happy to be like cordial with the guy. If we run into each other in different spaces and stuff, but I'm not particularly. I don't think it's a good idea right now to mend that friendship. So
Sure, that's fair.
yeah. But yeah, maybe in the future I'll also try not to, make him feel bad about, or say that you're being a victim or something like that. I probably shouldn't have said that to him, but
Sure, it's probably a trigger for him, but yeah.
Yeah, that was probably a little bit insensitive of me, but
Shit happens.
yeah.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope. Thanks and stuff.
Yeah, no problem. Anytime.
Yeah.
Message me if there's any more conflict resolution needed.
Yeah, thanks. I will. Keep my fucking name out of your fucking. No, I'm sorry.
I'll do my best too. Okay.
All right.
Okay.
See ya.
Have fun. Peace out.
Sorry about this, Destiny.
Destiny, that's a woman's thing. You were raised by your daddy and mama, and that makes you half man and half woman. You are a beta. You're not a real man, beta. I just have one question for you, beta. It's just one thing I want to know. No. Destiny, do you love black people? Just answer the question, Destiny. Do you love all people? Destiny. Destiny. Do you love black people? Just answer the question, Destiny. Do you love all people? Destiny. Do you love black people? Just answer the question, Destiny. Do you love all people?
Oh
Nice.
God, sorry, Steven.
That was beautiful.
That was so fun.
I mean, those are fun changes.
Amazing.
Amazing.